Hi guys, Alfie here, your community partnership manager with New Life Mission and your host for Conversations With. Join me as I take a walk with a very special individual and see what happens behind the butterfly. And that walk starts now. Morning everyone, Alfie here, your community partnership manager with New Life Mission, taking a casual walk with my friend, Mr. Glen Outlaw.
Good morning.
How are you?
Alfie. Doing well, doing well. Looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've taken a walk around.
Yeah, so we are walking towards what we call Casa Carol. And tell me a little bit about your involvement and how you got started with New Life Mission.
Doesn't take long to start crying.
All right, that's a beautiful thing.
Man. So, I guess it was 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
My wife's mom, my mother-in-law, we make mother-in-laws jokes, but I've been blessed with great in-laws. But she passed away at age 63. And I said, well, what can I do to honor her and bless my wife? And I said, how about if I buy a place that maybe has affordable housing for single moms?
Beautiful.
Why that came about, I have no idea. No idea. So cruised around, saw this building. It was available, 12 units. And I said, all right, pretty cool. Let me take a look at it. So the day I looked at it, the day I closed was 30 days.
Wow.
And while I was, it really was. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. So a friend of mine, played tennis with, Fred Sutton, we saw him up at the tennis courts. And I said, Fred, I bought this building and I have this idea about providing affordable housing for single moms. Do you know anybody? Because I knew he was always involved with some organization. He goes, let me get back to you. And he gets back to me the next day because he goes home, talks with Meredith. And they were looking at this building at the same time. Pete Glavis was here when I was looking at the building. And so we made this connection and we started looking at the building and exploring options. I said, tell you what, the building's yours. I'll do some fixing up. Don't know how much I'm going to get myself into. And when you rent a place, here's the rent rate. Cheap, you just take it as you need it. A couple years went by and more repairs. And I'm going, wow, a lot more to what I was thinking I was getting into, but you couldn't stop because you saw the program. And eventually found a way to say, I'll tell you what, sell you the building for what I got into it. And it's yours. You can pay me back, no interest, in a couple of years. And so that's how this building first came to be. And the first tenant that they had was a gal sitting in the back building up on the upper right, had a couple of boys, and the mom had come in from spending time at her sister's, and they slept in the laundry room and were not allowed to eat at their sister's dining room table. So that was the first tenant. And, it's changed so much from here. My boys and I put up the fence, still standing after 12 years. Amazing that it's still standing, and a lot of the improvements we've come. But they've done a marvelous job from here. And we just stayed involved. Matter of fact, the property up on US 1 was my dad's property where he was in business since 1961 or so. And then when he passed, we inherited it with my sisters, and we said, this is what they're looking for. We had 8 single-family cottages behind, office space up front, and we talked to my sisters and said, let's make a really good price and let them do it, because this is perfect they need a visual for offices and administration. And then they had single-family homes behind it. So we worked out a really good price for that piece of property. So we've been involved with New Life Mission, or Brevard Rescue Mission.
Originally,
since pretty much day one. Yeah. And we're not stopping.
Yeah, we love that. So, a little more information about you. I mean, it's amazing, and somebody like myself who's just come on board with New Life Mission and getting to find the history and hear the stories of all the amazing moms, especially. But I started this series because I really wanted to see pun intended, what was going on behind the butterfly.
Right.
All the amazing people, from our moms to our kids to our caseworkers, our girl that works in social media, from Amy Lyon, our CEO, just everybody that puts this together. So it was important for me to really hear from somebody that was, from really the beginning. This is number one for us at New Life Mission.
Right.
I mean, you made this happen. That's a beautiful thing. But I want to know a little bit more about you. So tell me, where are you from originally?
Born in Gainesville, but been here in Melbourne since I was 1 year old.
So you are a Florida cracker.
Yeah.
Originally OG Florida cracker. Very cool. But so, I mean, that has a lot to do with your love, obviously, for the state and this place. I find that people that are from Florida do love where they're from.
Yeah, where
even
else
with
would
all
you
of
live?
us transplants coming into here, right? You still love it. So how long were you in Melbourne? I missed.
Since 61.
Since 61. So you've seen a lot of changes, especially in
A
this
little
area.
bit. A little bit. Yeah.
And a lot of these properties. I know I moved to Florida in '84, and I'm a architectural nerd. I traveled just to look at buildings. So when I first saw this property, I was like, oh, it's so good somebody didn't.
Right.
I mean, the rehabilitation is in two different ways here, right? This building was rehabbed to rehab our amazing moms and their kids.
Very, very true.
And to see that, I mean, you can build a new building and it's great and it's wonderful, but the fact that we're preserving history and we're changing the future at the same time is amazing.
Right.
So from Gainesville, you moved here in the early '60s, and then what?
Let's see. My mom was the first female principal here in Brevard County at University Park.
Wow, okay.
And then she opened up Gemini Elementary.
Okay.
My dad was a civil engineer up on US 1, which is where New Life Mission is currently located.
Our LCC headquarters,
And I've got 3 older sisters, and we went to Our Lady of Lourdes and Melbourne Central Catholic, and then I ended up playing tennis over at Rollins College in Winter Park. You were talking earlier about Park Avenue. Yeah. So spent a lot of times at East India Ice Cream. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Absolutely.
And then came back here and married my wife, and we'll be celebrating 40 years of marriage in June.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got 4 boys. And
see, that's because you said you had good in-laws.
Yes, I had great in-laws. Great in-laws. And so did she.
Yeah,
so
did she. No, but that's amazing. I mean, the rich history of your involvement. I mean, just hearing about your mom and her being the first female principal here. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, I have to say, I'm going to say this kind of selfish, but I'm the product of older sisters, right? Yeah. So I think that you grow a different way.
You do.
You really do. I mean, you understand a sensibility that I used to get made fun of from all my buddies and stuff like that. But it's a different understanding. It's a different understanding, especially seeing because all my sisters have gone through marriages and kids and the same thing, seeing how my sisters interacted with my mom. And, I was the little prince at times, right? And extra spoiled.
Right. Yeah.
But that shaped me to a point where charitable giving has always been a part of my life, and giving back, because that's what was just instilled in me. You helped out. And I think that for me was a product of having older sisters. So I'm just curious, like what
prompted it?
Yeah, what prompted it for you?
Really don't know. It was just something I saw and did, but from that moment, it completely changed my life.
Absolutely.
Because then I got introduced to Georgiana and Corky Calhoun, and we started going to church there. We were looking for a new church.
Sure.
And then introduced there. From there, Corky kind of talked to me. He wasn't like pointing the finger during sermons, but he was like kind of pointing the finger about time to get off the bench and into the game.
There you go.
And
I love that.
I started volunteering at Cambridge Elementary, and from Cambridge Elementary became tied together, and it just had this snowball effect of giving away. Prior to that, it was a dollar here, a dollar there type of thing, but it wasn't a commitment to be thoughtful about your giving.
Sure.
And since then, it's really been things that my wife and I, Mila, discuss and plan, and it's thoughtful giving. And sometimes you just want to give more, but you just can't stop giving because there's always a need,
Yeah, there is. And what I think is amazing about particularly what you've done here is that, that old phrase, charity begins at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are amazing organizations that do things all over the world and stuff, but the ones that do things right in their own backyard is extra special.
Right.
I always say you can think globally, but you have to act locally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you to see the growth. I know for me, when I came on with New Life Mission, they wanted me just to be the entertainer and a spokesperson for the muscle car event for Opening Doors for Women, and the auction was a success. But it's when I sat in the room with those moms and I listened to their testimonies and I listened to their stories, and I realized, this is an organization that has made so many milestone moments and breaking that generation that of homelessness for these kids, and listening to the kids talk about how it's changed their life.
Yes.
And then I hear stories about people like you and your wife and how this started. And it's just been such a beautiful journey for New Life Mission. And the fact that something came to you that day, touched your heart to be able to do something like this. I mean, that's God at work, like, for sure.
You just never know. Once you start,
never know, right?
Once you start, you can't stop. Yeah.
And so let's talk. I'm going to switch the camera to our off our faces, right? To this beautiful property here. So the condition of this, when you first purchased it, was it?
It was the neighborhood was kind of scared of us because this was really kind of a drug place. We had about 4 tenants in. They had chased out a lot of the drug users in here, and so they got word that this was going to be a homeless shelter for women. And you can just imagine coming from a drug place to a homeless shelter that the neighborhood was a little bit wary of what was going on. But by the time we had a neighborhood meeting down at one of the local churches, they could see that we weren't just a homeless shelter. It was nothing close to a homeless shelter. It was a transformation.
Right. That's the misconception, I think, all the time. And especially when I tell people what I do for, with New Life Mission, it's always like, homeless people, it's got to be tough. And I said, well, no, we're a program that rehabilitates and gives people a new life and a new lease on life. And I can imagine that, when you came here, and that's what so that's why it's so important with the education factor about this.
Yes, but they accept it now. I believe the neighborhood is kind of adopting some of the stuff that goes on, and there was a lot of stuff that needed to be done, and of course Fred's just been so instrumental in getting it up to that next level.
Right. Yeah, Fred Sutton.
Yeah, I was able to get it to a place where I could hand it off, but then it needed another level of care.
It's amazing. I mean, I know the moms are super grateful for it. It's just inspiring. All of it is inspiring, and you're part of that journey and that mission that has changed people's lives. And and some people don't get enough credit for that. I mean, I always take the credit what I get in my heart, right? How I feel about doing it and seeing these changes. But I want to take a moment to thank you for allowing me to just talk with you and feel like I was a part of this from the beginning, and where you were at when you discovered this place and how you decided you wanted to help and give back. It's really remarkable.
It really is, especially when you take a look at their office.
Sure.
Our lady by the name of Patsy lived here, and she was kind of the cat lady. She had several cats, and newspaper was all over the floor, and it was just layers and layers of newspaper, and that was pretty much the cat's litter box, and she was a hoarder. It was incredible, and to be able to see that transformation in this, and you wouldn't step, I mean, literally you wanted to wear a hazmat suit when we went in there, and now it's their office, and it's just so beautiful, that transformation.
What do you see yourself doing with New Life Mission in the future? I mean, that's it.
If I can just be the ambassador and just say, try it, you'll like it.
Because I know there's other potential people that want to get involved, and maybe don't know how to get involved or what that looks like, and how that shapes your life and how you feel. Since you've done something like this.
There are always new people that are first time getting involved in a charity, and there are people that have been doing it all their life.
Right.
But they're sitting at a seat for this luncheon, and
talk a little bit about
they're
that.
Sitting there because they've been called to.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful thing.
It's not by accident.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah, there definitely is a reason.
And, we've donated to several different things, and some we've moved on and say, okay, well, time to move to another charity. And there's the ones that from the beginning that we're going to continue to move on.
Yeah.
So the long term, short term, but whatever it is, know that the money given here is well cared for, and it's not going to be blown. I mean, it's used for the purpose it's intended to.
Yeah,
no government funding. I mean, just take a look at the success stories. They're families. It's not a a place for them to sleep and that type of thing. It's not intermittent. It's families.
Yeah.
There's a real connection between the donors and the people that it benefits. It's real.
Yeah. And you get that connection too when we do a come and see or open house, and you get to see the mom's transformation, especially being around a lot. You get to see when they've come in and where they are now, and then the success stories years later, that they're still taking the gifts that New Life Mission has instilled in them and given them throughout their lifetime.
To be involved in something like that, it's really a cool thing. You want to hear another little story?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, see if I can get through it. All right,
thank you.
Well, I remember going through the city, just getting this fence up. Can we put the fence up here so we can have a little secure? And they were like, well, okay. The city really helped us out here and said, okay, you've got your parking, and yes, you can have this as a playground. So they helped us out immensely, taking a look at what we had. But behind these two doors are their washer and dryer. And so I had other tenants, and I had coin operated. I don't know if we need to really take a look, but maybe it's still the same things. But they had a washer and dryer, and for some reason I was stopping by the office, and I came in, sit down. I remember, this is no men are allowed on campus.
Sure.
So I just walk into the office and sit down like I own the place, which I guess I did at the time. And the girl's on the phone with the repair person, like on the washers, doing this and that, coin operated. And I'm sitting there looking at her. But previous to that, I asked my wife, said, has God ever spoken to you? What does that look like? She goes, well, I've never heard his voice, but yeah, you get this feeling. It's like, okay, all right. So we had a few minute discussion about that. But I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there listening to the conversation. Okay, I think I know what's wrong with the washer. I'm telling her, like, hang up, I got this. And she has no idea who I am. And she hangs up and goes, all right, I'm Glen Outlaw. Let's go take a look. So I get in here, the coin operator, I'm working. Like, now, so I'll be back. So I went to Lowe's, and she didn't know who I was. And said, do you need two washers? Yeah, that would be great. It's like, all right. So I get to Lowe's, and there's a floor model they're discontinuing and another one they're discontinuing. I'm like going, well, one is like going, yeah, okay, go ahead and buy two. And so the manager comes in, and it's like, all right, we can do that. How's delivery in 2 weeks? I said, well, they really need it today. So 4 hours later, two washers show up. But the kicker was, my wife walks down Lowe's and sees me buying the two washers. Lowe's ain't her hangout. So you go, yeah, God just went, told you.
Yeah.
Told you.
Yeah.
Right. You can't get more evidence than that, right?
Sure. 100%. And I mean, it's amazing. So all of this part of this property too, I mean, this to the fence over here where we have the playground and everything.
Playground, big oak tree.
It's great as a kid, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. This building's got to be close now to, I think it's got to be 100 years old. I think it was 24 or 28, somewhere like that, when it was built, 19. So, I don't know. I have something for old buildings, considering Harry Goods is 117, 18 years old.
Yeah, that's also an amazing property. It's great though, man. I mean, you've definitely touched our community on so many levels, and are continuing to touch our community for what I mean, even your mom, back from your mom. I mean, what she did for these students, and then now what you're doing for these moms, and and on my side, what you're doing for historic buildings too, right? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, Fred has a lot to do with it. I've known Fred since I was 13, when I was a bratty little tennis player.
Right.
And so, but I've seen now Fred as an adult and how he's involved with the community. And you talk about the Energizer Bunny that just keeps going and giving and doing. And so he's been kind of an inspiration for me also.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mentorship, man.
Yeah.
Right? Mentorship
See
through
it in
men.
action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I always say, lead by example. And you know, the other, I mean, I know this is different than New Life Mission, but I want to talk about you give back in another way with your Thai program. You touched my son, right?
Really?
And that because you went to Bayside.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, and he said, hey, this guy came in today and taught us about learning how to tie a tie.
Right.
And so, of course, you know, I wear ties all the time. I said, dude, was it a single Windsor or a double Windsor?
No, just the four in hand.
Yeah,
the
that's
basic.
what he said. So, but talk about that because that's important. I want to talk about that.
Well, it came to be because through the church after that I came to be from being here, went to Georgia, then volunteered at Cambridge Elementary, and I saw the reality of absentee fathers.
Yeah.
So being a father of 4 boys, I said, what can I do? I'm going to teach you how to shake a hand and tie a tie. Pretty simple, basic stuff. So
Sure.
A friend of mine heard me talking about it, who was a teacher at Stone. And he goes, can you come to my school and do that? I said, oh, sure, I can do that. And I was like, well, no, now I got to figure out how to get 450 ties and men and the whole 9 yards. But we did it, and the guys that volunteered says, Glenn, you're on to something. And that was 11 years ago, and 29,000 boys. And we go into middle schools and high schools, and we teach them how to tie a tie and proper business handshake, give them a tie in their school collars.
Yeah.
And we were at O'Galley just 10 days ago. We had 51 men at a school volunteering in the gym for a non-sporting event. It's like, you don't get that.
No beer, no pretzels, no basketball game.
Nope, just
giving back and tying ties with young men.
That's it.
You might be a Guinness Book of Record holder getting men in a sporting arena with no
sport.
Yeah, good for you. That's amazing.
But that has really been a passion of mine, and amazing the friendships that have developed from there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your new friendship as well. And I just want to say on behalf of everybody and the people we work with here at New Life Mission, thank you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks. It's been amazing.
Yep.
Folks, this guy right here, real deal, Glen Outlaw. Don't let that last name fool you. This man is not an outlaw. He's a good guy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care.